I'm looking so fresh. When I walk by, breaking their necks. Waiting in line at the team store. Now I'm feeling fly like a condor. Eyes on me when I walk through the door. Man, I wish I bought a couple more. Cause I really love my city. It was worth every penny. If it were at my show, then I know they gon' tip me. Think I might add a couple patches. If you think it's ugly, you capping. Now my whole outfit matching. Never going out of fashion.
Welcome, everybody. Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Here we go. A season preview. The season is almost here. Thursday, opening day. Cannot wait. And San Diego Sports 760's Jim Russell, the second half of John and Jim.
The better half.
Show. The better half was last week, buddy. But no, much appreciated.
Okay, see you later. Bye.
Yeah, Jim is a quick out right now. But no, thanks for joining the show, man. And it's gonna be fun to talk some Padres here. First, let's just start right off with the rotation and the bench. Your thoughts on this rotation and where it's at right now? Do you think it was the right decision for the Padres to go with Hart and Vasquez over one of them and then Kolek?
Well, I would have loved the rotation more if Darvish wasn't hurt, but
yeah, that would be nice. And Joe Musgrove, yeah.
Right, yeah, but
Matt Waldron.
I could have lived without Matt Waldron, to be honest with
you. Matt, are you listening to this? You listen to this, Matt?
Probably is. Probably already blocked on Twitter, probably by him. Anyway, yeah, I was a little surprised that Stephen Kolek didn't make the initial opening day rotation, but at the end of the day, my guess is we're going to see Stephen Kolek at some point in the rotation this year. He's going to go down to the minors. I'm sure the message is stay ready, and we're going to stretch you out in the minors. Maybe that's what their thought process is. There is that you got Randy Vasquez and Hart, both guys that are starters, and you got Stephen Kolek, who they're converting into a starter. And maybe they think to themselves, look, spring training, he did a fantastic job in spring, but we feel like he maybe needs more time. We don't want to push him too quickly. But my guess is they do feel like he's going to be a starter for them down the road, and putting him in the minors and having some starts under his belt in the minors, I'm sure would probably serve him best. So with that being said, Randy Vasquez, Kyle Hart, put him in the rotation. I do like what they did though. With the loss of Darvish, they didn't just go King, Cease, Pivetta, and then whoever else in the rotation, Hart and Vasquez. They put Pivetta in between those two, because there could be times that Hart and Vasquez, they only give you 3 innings, right? Same thing with anybody in the rotation, but still, those two guys, you don't really know exactly what you're going to get from them right away. In the meantime, King, Cease, and Pivetta, those are going to be your 3 workhorses this year, guys that are going to eat innings. So putting Pivetta in between those 2 pitchers, whatever order it is, whether it be Hart on Saturday or Vasquez on Saturday, or vice versa, whatever. I like that. They are still pretty thin in the rotation, with the loss of Darvish. That just puts more pressure on King and Cease to put together seasons like they did last year, and maybe even better. But I have confidence in them, and I think that the rotation is still pretty solid. It just kind of is crazy that, they were quiet all offseason. They did nothing. And at the very last minute, they get Nick Pivetta, and it feels like, your mind changes completely on this rotation. Because without Nick Pivetta, going into opening day on Thursday tomorrow, you'd be like, yeah, this is going to be an issue. But, right now you feel pretty good.
Yeah, I would say so. And with the Kolek thing, it didn't make sense kind of at first, because I was like, Kolek pitched well. But then at the same time, developing into a starter. And the other guys, like Vasquez, made 20-plus starts. Padres know what he can give them. And he did have an ability to get out of some of those situations last year. And then with Kyle Hart, he just I call it the Ding Dong Award because I totally forget the name of the award in KBO or Japan.
I think it's called the Dong Award.
The Dong. Okay. so,
Yeah, he won the Dong Award.
Yeah.
Ding dong.
So,
hey, dude. I mean, if you win the Dong Award, you deserve a spot in the rotation for the Padres.
Yeah. There you go. But no, I'm fine with it. And yeah, Colo pitch. He's gonna pitch. He's gonna appear in this rotation at some point. And the Padres using 8 guys last year in the rotation, that's not gonna happen this year. So
yeah.
it's just you're right about King and Cease, Pavetta. They already had pressure on them, but and you can't control health sometimes, but man, that's going to be important for them to be healthy this year because if not, you don't know what Darvish is. Darvish going to come back? How long is that going to be? Waldron, even if he does come back, what are we going to get from Waldron? He's trying to use that knuckleball more, but how much of a guarantee is him to go 10 starts? He's huge reason the Padres made the postseason. Matt Waldron guy, and I hope it can be Kolek and Hart. Vasquez, I just feel like we know who he is. But the other two, I'm really interested in seeing what they can be as starting pitchers. Moving to the bench, would you have gone with Lockridge, with Iglesias over Tyler Wade and Eguy Rosario? And Oscar Gonzalez, too.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I mean, I don't think it truly matters, to be honest with you. Like, if it was Lockridge, which it is, right, or if it was Tyler Wade, or if it was Oscar Gonzalez, I truly don't think it would have mattered. I said this the other day on the radio show. Do you remember what their bench was last year to start the season?
Yeah, Graham Pauley, Wade was on there. Higgy was the backup catcher. That's what, 3?
Mm-hmm.
And then, shoot.
Come on, you got to know this, Mr. Padre. Come on.
Dang. After that, no, Wade was at 3rd because Manny was DHing. Eguy.
There you go. One more.
And then an outfielder.
Mm-hmm. You should know this. You should know this.
It wasn't Tirso.
Tweet about the Padres every second of the day. You should know this.
This is pissing me off. Yeah, this is pissing me off.
Once I say his name, you're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh!"
Was he on the 23 team?
Mm-hmm.
I'm drawing a blank. What the heck? Who was
Jose Zokar?
Oh, Zokar. Sugar. Yeah. Okay.
There you go. So
where is that guy, by the way? I have not heard anything about him.
Where's Graham Pauley?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so that's my point is the team that won 93 games last year, their bench on opening day was Jose Zokar, Graham Pauley, Tyler Wade, Kyle Higashioka, and Eguy Rosario. So, getting up in arms about a bench of Martin Maldonado and Jose Iglesias and Eguy Gurriel and Brandon Lockridge and Gavin Sheets, you just have to go back 1 year and look at that bench. And then if you compare it to this bench, I mean, if you want to say it's similar, go ahead. This bench is definitely older for sure. This bench has more, I guess, accolades in their career.
It's more 2023-ish.
Right. A lot of some, veterans of that are hanging on by a thread here in the big leagues. I personally would have had a mix. I don't think Eguy Gurriel should be on this team. I just don't. I mean, prove me wrong. Go out there and be with the team for the entire year. Don't get cut. Like, that should be his goal. Do everything you possibly can to not get cut. Martin Maldonado, it's kind of sad that that's the best that they could do, but they don't have another option.
This guy's a future Hall of Famer, if you ask Mike Schilt.
He's the best player in the history of the sport. I mean, if you ask Mike Schilt, every player is the best player in the sport, according to Mike Schilt. I think it's a huge indictment on Campy, to be honest with you. Like, the fact that you got beat out by a 38-year-old Martin Maldonado, not great. Brandon Lockridge, he can play all 3 outfield spots. I don't really see them using him late in games as a defensive replacement because they have good defenders in the outfield with Merrill, Hayward, and Tatis. It's not like they have, I don't know, Nelson Cruz out there or something crazy, right?
Right, but they could have like Gurriel pinch hit and then Lockridge take Hayward's spot.
For sure, yeah. I mean, you have different opportunities there. It's not the most exciting bench in the world, but I mean, do you think it's a bench, right? It's a bench. It just shows that their depth is thin, but the depth last year, you could argue the same thing until they got David Peralta and Donovan Solano, and those guys stepped in beautifully for them. It is what it is. I'm much more concerned about, like, hey, can Xander Bogaerts actually have a bounce back year this year? Can Manny, have an MVP-ish type of season? Can Jackson Merrill improve on his rookie year? Like, those are way more important to me than the bench. It's not great, I'll tell you that. The bench is not great. It's not very inspiring, but it is what it is, and I'm not going to sit here and get like too upset about the 25th and 26th guys on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point, is the superstar players, if the 1 through 6 guys in the order perform and they do their job, then Manny, I mean, he was an MVP in the second half of the season when he was, healthy. If those guys perform, Tatis stays healthy, if you can have bounce backs from Crony and from Bogey, then we're not going to be talking about the bench, the 26th guy, or even the bottom of the order. Like, if Elias Diaz isn't going to be hitting, but everyone else is, okay.
And like, the Dodgers obviously are the deepest team in baseball. They have depth upon depth. Their depth has depth. But if I look at, like, if I ask you right now, can you name me the bench for the Mets? Like, probably not. You know what I mean? Like, if you're thinking of the Mets, you think of 3 guys right off the bat: Soto, Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso. Like, the Phillies, you think of Bryce Harper, you think of Castellanos, you think of Schwarber. Like, you don't think of, like, oh man, who's on their bench, right? Bench is important because if guys go down, you need other guys to step up, and that's a huge thing. But at the start of a season, it's just, I'm not going to have it consume my time and get too upset about it when we know, both of us and everybody watching this, that the bench at the start of the year will not be the bench at the end of the year. Everything will be probably completely different at the end of the year from the beginning of the year on your bench.
Not Maldi, though. Not Maldi. That guy, here to stay. Hall of Fame.
Yeah, okay.
Well, and this whole thing, like with the bench, and this is the last thing I'll say about it, is, like, I was thinking about a comparison. You think of, like, the Celtics or the Warriors. Which Warriors fan, Celtics fan is talking about and worried about the bench, the bench?
Well, I'm a little worried about the Warriors bench right now, but
or is Steph, Butler, if they perform, then what are we talking about here? Especially the Celtics, like, and this isn't talking Celtics here, but like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Like, breaking news for me. You want to twist the channel up? You talk basketball?
Heck no. That's what you're focused on. You're not focused on whoever's on that bench. So
stars matter more than the 26th guy on the roster.
Yeah, breaking news, Jim fact.
There you go.
All right, so let's talk about, like, how bad it would have to be if Cease and Arise were to, like, get dealt, or the possibility even before the deadline.
Oh, we're going Doomsday right now?
How bad do you think it would have to be?
Let's go Doomsday.
How bad do you think it would have to be for that to happen?
Screw it. Blow the whole thing up. Don't even play the baseball season. Just blow it up. Just screw it. Trade everybody.
You got to think of everything.
Okay, fine. You want to go there? Look, I don't think it would have to be that bad, to be honest with you. Like, let's just use 2023 as an example. All right. Same situation as 2023. The first half, you just were watching and you're just like, there's something missing here, right? Like, there's just something off with this team, right? And you get to the deadline and say they're in the same spot, right? They won a couple games in a row, makes you kind of have some, false confidence in this team, right? Remember at the deadline, they traded for Rich Hill and G-Man Choi, and it was like, what are we doing?
In his Padres tenure,
yeah, like, what are we doing here? And they kept Snell and they kept Hader, right? So I think if that scenario, I think that right there would be a scenario that I would look at for them at the deadline this year, where I would be banging on my hand on the table being like, trade everybody, like, trade them all. But again, I don't expect that. I really think the team's going to compete this year. But again,
I feel like this year more than 2023 would be the case to keep the guys, because who knows what's going to happen after this year with Cease and King maybe being gone.
Wait,
And
keep him?
like keep that, like if let's say it's like 2023, because
Okay.
what were they 4 games out, something like that?
I honestly I forget.
I know it wasn't inspiring. Like
They were
I knew
around
that.
500. I think they were a
I
couple
remember,
under.
yeah, I remember being on your guys' show down by Petco and like talking about, yeah, trade Snell, like, yeah.
Yeah.
But there, I would make the case to, yeah, trade those guys more than this year, because then you still had Soto, you would think, for years. There was still the core, those guys, Manny, they were younger, obviously. And you just had more, I think, of a window there, where now, sure, you have Merrill and there's talent, but these guys are getting older. And how long is this like window going to be? What are they going to do for their rotation next year, let's say?
Yeah,
If,
but you're not. But
King and
you're
Cease go,
also.
if Rise goes.
Yeah, but you're not going to have Cease or King or Rise next year.
No, I know, but I'm saying like to go for it this year, because you don't know what you're going to have next year.
Okay, and if they go for it and they're in the same situation as 2023 and they miss out, it's going to look like another failure. And I just think that you can't make the same mistake twice here. And this is, again, I don't think it's going to happen. I've got to
Yeah.
preface that. I do not think, I'm hoping, that at the deadline, we're going to be sitting here talking about they got to trade everybody. I think this team is really actually going to contend this year. But if that were to happen, and they are 3 or 4 games out of the final wild card spot, they're around 500. They're kind of playing up and down baseball, right? It's something feels off here. They don't have that same thing that they had last year, right? I know the whole Schultz second half thing that Kevin was writing about last season, and it proved to be true. Like they were the best team and one of the best teams in the second half. Can you count on that for a second year in a row? Can you count? I mean, we were talking about this today on John and Jim. Can you, if you are 500 at the break, can you count on another 2-month span where you have the best record in franchise history? That's what happened last year. The 2-month span, they played the best baseball like in franchise history for that long a period of time. Can you count on that again? I mean, if you want to try, go for it, but you're running a huge risk if you end up falling short. And then once again, you will have missed out on getting a pretty good sizable deal back for some top line pitchers and a guy who wakes up and hits 320.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So for all of those that are not optimistic about this team, and because I see that in the comments and on social media, there's your segment for this show.
There you go.
You can have that.
You're welcome.
All right, back to the positivity. So I think this next question for me with the Stars, right, and Manny and just the guys with the big contracts with Bogey, how much pressure are these guys under? I feel like they could be the most under pressure team, or the Stars, excuse me, that group, compared to the rest of the National League, because obviously the Dodgers just won. Sure, the Phillies are up there. They didn't win, but they at least made it to the World Series. And there's the Braves, but they have a recent World Series. The Mets definitely are up there with them getting Soto. I think the Padres are right up there with Tatis, Bogarts, Manny. We should throw Merrill into that, Crony into that, but you get what I'm saying.
I don't think Manny has any pressure on him. I don't. I think he's proved it. I mean, dude's going to hit 30 home runs, 90 plus RBI, hit 270, 280, OPS in the 800s. I don't think he has any pressure on him. I don't think Merrill has any pressure on him personally. I think the way that he plays with no pressure at all. I mean, just the attitude, the style, like he is a baseball fan's dream to root for. Like this guy is not scared of anything. And I just don't think he's ever going to be a guy that's going to feel pressure. The only pressure on Fernando Tatis Jr. for me is staying healthy. Mm-hmm. Like, stay healthy. Can you stay healthy for a full season one time in your career, please, and actually perform? Because you haven't done it yet. And the 1 year you stayed healthy, your numbers weren't great. There is pressure to me on Xander because the noise will start getting louder and louder and louder. If he puts up another dud of a season, 2 years here, 2 years of not really much memorable baseball, right? He's had truthfully 2 good months that I can remember, and those were months that one of them didn't matter in 2023, and the other one was the start of the season in 2023. He had some nice moments last year, but never where I thought Xander was like a very impactful player. You know, all in all, I think as a team wide, team goes, I think there might be this feeling of this is our last, like, maybe real push for a bit, just because we know the uncertainty with 2025 and you're going to be losing a lot of key pieces. I mean, it's going to be a wild offseason next year to see the transformation of this team. So I think from a team aspect, you could say that there's pressure to really go for it and push all the chips in the middle of the table again this year, right? Which that's been happening here a lot, and every year feels like an all-in year, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
And so with that, I don't think that they're going into the season and be like, man, got so much pressure on us. I do think that they have a confidence level and a mindset of, we won 93 games last year. We felt like we were the best team in baseball. We should have beaten the Dodgers, and we're ready to go out there and finish the job, type of thing. That's kind of where I feel like their mindset's at.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Like, I love how you answered that question, to be honest, because I was thinking just like, well, yeah, they haven't been to a World Series, haven't won the World Series, obviously, like getting over that hump, and you need your big guys to do that. But if guys stay healthy, like you talk about, yeah, like we know that they're going to perform. So yeah, that's an interesting way to look at that. I did want to go through the most likely Padre to win the big awards. So MVP, Cy Young, Comeback Player of the Year. We could do reliever, but really those three: MVP, Cy Young, comeback.
Wandy Peralta.
MVP for you, most likely to win.
Martin Maldonado. No, it's Manny. Like,
really,
him coming into this season. Are we talking about team or like for the league? Like
for the
national
league. So like, if you're going to,
MVP?
yeah, right.
Okay.
So if you're picking Padre, who's most likely to win?
Yeah, it's Manny Machado. Hearing him talk about how he finally feels healthy, and talking last year to people about the elbow surgery, tennis elbow, and hearing from Manny saying, like, I heard from doctors that this injury takes about a year to recover, to fully feel healthy again. And now we're a year out, well over a year from his surgery, and they're going to need, if Manny plays well, the team usually plays well. Like, we all know the saying, right? Manny goes, the team goes. We've said it. Me and John have said it 100 times, right? And so you look at 2022 and how he finished top 3 in MVP voting, and he had a great year. Yeah, he's capable of it. And now's the time. He is like smack dab in the middle of his prime. And so if he's not going to do it now, I don't know when he would have the chance to do it again.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing about this for the Padres is, you say Manny, I could easily make a case for Tatis. I could make a case for Merrill, him hitting third in that lineup, playing center field.
Yeah, if Tatis stays healthy and
plays every day. Yeah, well, yeah.
For sure. Tatis stays healthy and hits 40-something home runs, like, okay. You could have 2 guys in top 10 in MVP voting at the end of the year. But
yeah, because we know how ridiculous. Yeah, he's so freaking impressive, but
he's talented.
Got to stay
he's
on
very
the field.
talented. Yeah, exactly.
All right, Cy Young for you.
Yeah, I really think that Michael King is going to have a really good year. He had a great year last year. I was kind of surprised that Dylan Cease got Cy Young votes over Michael King, just because I thought Michael King had a better year. I know Cease had the no-hitter and whatnot, but man, you didn't know this time last year, we didn't know what Michael King was going to do. Guy was being converted into a starter. He never was a starter with the Yankees. He had some good numbers with the Yankees, but turning them into a starter, that's obviously kind of risky. And he passed that with flying colors. I thought it was crazy of him last year at this time to say that his goal was to pitch 180 innings. I'm like, are you serious? Like, let's start with like 160, my guy, like 150 maybe. He goes out there, including the postseason. He might have pitched almost 200, maybe over.
He got to 200 with the postseason.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, incredible year from Michael King. I think he's just going to continue to take a step because he doesn't have many innings on his arm. He's not young, but he also does. But his arm is young as far in like experience in the big leagues, like throwing innings. He has not thrown a lot of innings like Dylan Cease has, and Dylan Cease is a workhorse. But I would go with Michael King. It's a 1A, 1B, selection. You can't go wrong with either. But both of those guys, I can tell you, they need to be good for this team. You cannot have one of those dudes get hurt or have an off year or whatnot. Like, they got to be like they were last year and maybe better.
Yeah. Imagine if Xander Bogaerts can go win comeback player of the year.
They give that award out in baseball?
Yep. Usually it's for someone that had like Tommy John or Liam Hendricks went through cancer and then he came back and so he gets it.
I feel like the comeback award shouldn't. I mean, it's almost like an award that you get if you win it and you're like, well, that's cool, but it just reminds me that I had Tommy John surgery last year, or like I had ACL surgery last year. It should go to guys that like you have to play a minimum amount of games the year prior, I feel like, in order to be eligible for comeback player of the year. Just because the comeback player of the year, by definition, is, I guess you could say, coming back from injury, but whatever. I mean, if Xander won that award, great, awesome, finally, but he's gonna need it. He's gonna need to bounce back here. And we were talking about Xander real quick. You look at his numbers in 2023. And just on surface, like if you just read me his numbers from 2023, I think he had like 4+ WAR. I think he had 19 home runs, something along those lines. I think he had like 280 something. I think he had a high 700 OPS, 350 on base or whatever.
Yep, 790 OPS, 350 on base, 285 average.
Yeah.
19 homers. Yep.
Right. Yeah. He played 140, 150 games.
Yep. 155.
Yeah, great. You take those numbers, you're like
4.2 WAR.
Yeah, 4.2 WAR. Yeah, you're like, wow, that was a good year from Xander. I watched every at bat from Xander in 2023. He did not have a good year. I'm sorry, he just didn't. I'll argue with anybody on that.
It was a really good first month and then really good end.
If you look at his like seriously, look at his splits after the show, or if you're watching this, look at Xander Bogaerts' splits and go month by month. His first month was great.
308 average.
Yeah.
And then 200, 262, 281, 234. And then in September, he hit 418.
Yeah. So you had very mid to below average, like in the middle of the season, the heart of the year. And you had a great start and you had an awesome finish. And put it all together, it looks like he had a great year. I would take those numbers this year from Xander in a second, but he can't have the same type of up and down and up and type of 2023. You get my point? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if he had those numbers this year, I just hope those numbers are much more impactful than they were in 2023.
Yep, totally agree. So I mean, Jason Hayward, that would be nice if he would have. Not saying comeback player of the year, but
can he just play the year? Can he just play the entire year? Is he going to be on this team for the entire year? Yeah. Like, can he win the I played on the team for the entire year award? Like, I made it 162 games award.
Yeah, because he's one of those great clubhouse guys, and I have no doubt that he is. But
like, I got a question for you. All right, speaking of Hayward, and this involves Yuli Gurriel and your boy Martin Maldonado. Of the three, who's the likeliest to make it the entire season with the club? Like, be serious here.
Probably Hayward, because I would think Campy's going to come up at some point. I mean
you'd think they're going. Are they going to trade him? Or are they just going to bury him? Like
maybe,
they got to choose what to do.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, I think it's between Hayward and Maldonado. Gurriel has no shot. I don't think he has a shot.
I would if you told me right now all three of them make it to the end of the year, I would probably think there's a pretty good chance that they actually did something that was worth keeping them on the team for.
Yeah. I think, yeah, probably Hayward. I mean, because Preller can always acquire another catcher that can hit a little bit better than Martin Maldonado.
A little bit. I can hit better than Martin Maldonado.
Oh, that's a stretch, but okay.
If you give me 100 tries to hit one ball,
really,
I might tip. I
love to see this.
No, I might tip one of them. Like not even a hit, but I might get one like tiny sliver of a foul ball. Like, but probably not. I'd go for.
You probably do better than John, right? I mean,
dude, I saw John golf today, and I would do better with John in anything. All right.
Jeez. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. No, he's great. He's great, play by play and talking about sports, but just he stays in his lane. That's good.
Yes, he does.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you think this is a playoff team? How many wins do you think during this regular season?
I'll say 80. I'll go 88.
Okay. Yeah, that's totally fair. I mean, it's the impossible question because Preller, I mean, this team will look completely different, August 1st.
Yeah, 87, 88 wins. I don't know if that's going to get it done. You're competing by the way, Dodgers, like to me, that's like they're already in the playoffs. Like I'm not going to concern myself with the Dodgers. What are the D-backs doing? What are the Giants doing? Phillies, Mets, Braves, Brewers, like what are those teams doing? And last year, 87 wins didn't get you in. 88 wins didn't get you in. You had to win 90 games to get in the postseason last year. So it's an up and down. Like one year you can win 84 and you make the postseason. Like a couple of years ago with the D-backs, and then they made the World Series. Last year you win 84, you're like 5 games out of a playoff spot. So I think they got to get to a high 80 number to feel confident. And I'm not saying that everything has to go 100% right because we know that's not going to happen. I got to stay relatively healthy, that's for sure. But I think they can get to 87, 88 wins and compete for a playoff spot.
Yeah, that's fair. I think just what's scary is on paper, you could say the Padres, got worse because there's a bunch of question marks, excuse me. And then around, like you talk about the Mets getting Juan Soto, and then the Giants improve, the D-backs.
The Braves.
Hopefully people don't forget, like the D-backs have Corbin Burns. Like that's.
Yeah. I know.
So, yeah, the Phillies are always going to be there. So, yeah, I feel like
Merrill Kelly and
Gallen.
Zach Gallen. Like it's a pretty good 1, 2, 3. Even though they lost Jordan Montgomery, but he's a bust anyway. So whatever.
Yeah, the owner hates that guy. So I mean,
yeah, he's like, good, give him surgery. Like I don't want surgery. No,
my fault that I gave him that contract.
I cut his arm open. I don't care. Yeah,
yeah. All right, that's gonna do it. Talking Friars here with Jim Russell. Thank you, Jim, for the time. I appreciate it. And by the way, plug where you're going to be at before opening day.
So we will be, John and Jim will be downtown at Sidebar. And when you're making your way down to Petco Park, come on by, stop and say hi to us. We're gonna be on the patio out front. It won't be like an open to the public bar, right? Because I think there's a lot of stuff going on, but we will be outside on the patio. So if you see us, come say hi. And we'll be broadcasting starting at 11 a.m. on opening day at Sidebar downtown, 11 a.m. We'll take you up to first pitch. And then, of course, we have a wrap-up show later that night.
You're going to be awake at 11?
11 a.m.? Yes, I will. I will be awake at 11 a.m. Yeah, right. I have a new morning routine, okay? I wake up at 4.
Yeah, I saw that.
I wake up at 3 a.m., all right? I stick banana peels on my face, all right? Changing my life now.
Yeah, you're in the air for 3 minutes?
I'm in the air for 4 minutes, all right?
4 minutes,
I'm stepping my game up.
Yeah, okay. That's Jim Russell, everybody. Jim, thank you for the time, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man.